Hey guys, Chris and Eric here at Star Wars Celebration, and we've just come from the Rebels panel. So Eric, let's kick off. What is the big stuff that we saw at the Rebels panel?
I mean, Thrawn, right? That's
Thrawn.
the huge reveal. Such a popular character, and not only coming to Star Wars Rebels, he's going to be official canon now for the first time, which I think is something a lot of fans have been hoping for a long time.
We'll give a bit of background as to who Grand Admiral Thrawn is, if people don't know.
I mean, the big thing, of course, about Thrawn is that he was introduced in the Timothy Zahn Heir to the Empire trilogy, which was really the return of Star Wars in any form back in the early 90s when nothing else was happening. Those novels kind of kicked off the EU in a big way, and he was just sort of almost an iconic character from just those books.
Yeah.
And he had an action figure, he's appeared in other ways, but then once they made everything Legends, he wasn't canon. None of his appearances were canon, so that's why it's such a big deal that Rebels will make him an official character now in the Star Wars universe.
Yeah, it looks like he's going to be the big bad, and he's voiced by Lars Mikkelsen, who is Mads Mikkelsen's brother, who is Jin's father in Rogue One. So both brothers are going to be in the Star Wars universe in the space of 6 months, which is pretty cool.
That is pretty funny, yeah.
And you'll know that actor from, if you've watched House of Cards the last couple of seasons, he's in that, and he's a really good actor. And we saw the first episode, and we heard him, and that's something frightening going on there.
Yeah, I think, even the trailer, if you've seen it, it's like they give him a big introduction, and I think they know this is such a huge deal to fans who had been hoping for a long time that something like this might happen.
Yeah.
I'm really excited because I love those books too, and even though I'm not one of those people who sort of freaked out about it being made Legends, it's still great now to know, okay, Thrawn is kind of in the wheelhouse to play with now. Anyone can use him as Star Wars canon.
Yep, agreed. What other big stuff did we see then? There's a couple more big names dropped. One was Wedge.
Yeah.
So we saw the teaser trailer for the new series, and he pops up on screen and you hear him say, "You can call me Wedge."
Yeah, and it's a whole storyline involving Imperial cadets.
Yeah.
And the idea of some of them willing to sort of join the rebellion, which is something that they already introduced on the show, I think in season 1, when Ezra was kind of undercover at the Imperial Academy, and he made a friend there who was kind of still working with him. Who is not Wedge, but now it looks like we're going to meet more of these characters who are willing to jump ship. Wedge is a big deal here. People cheered his name in the theater, hearing him introduced here, and that's really cool because Wedge is one of those popular characters for sort of being on the peripheral of Star Wars. And I think Rebels now will kind of give him even more of a story, and especially as the Aftermath is using him in the books, we're going to get more of who he was before we met him in Star Wars in the original Episode 4.
And I feel like that might mirror, his story might mirror something that's happening in Rogue One with some characters as well. But that remains to be seen. And Ahsoka, I think we had some news on her front as well.
Yeah, this was something that was interesting, that there was an Ahsoka panel yesterday about her with Ashley Eckstein and Dave Filoni, and he kind of said a similar thing at the Rebels panel, which is basically she will be seen again on Rebels, but he's not saying she's alive. He's just saying in some way or the other she will be seen again, and we'll let you find out how that is, which he said specifically that it would kind of be a cheat if it was just a flashback.
Yeah.
So that rules out one thing, but there are many ways to see people in Star Wars even if they've died. So
and someone asked if she was going to be a Force ghost, and again he said not right now.
Right.
He was quite mysterious about it, but he said we will definitely be seeing her again.
He was playing coy, and I will add one little thing he said yesterday at the panel that was interesting, was simply that he doesn't like to be swayed by sort of the fan opinion. He said that'll drive you crazy if you try to do that. But this was one time where he heard so many people, the reaction to the season 2 finale, they loved her so much, they loved the finale, that he changed his mind. When I interviewed him after the season 2 finale, he's like, I don't think we're going to see Ahsoka again on Rebels. Now we will, one way or the other.
One place he did say he did listen to the fan reaction was Ezra's hair in the first season.
Yes.
So he changed for the second, and then he said everyone got upset about that, so he can't win.
Yeah.
Ezra does have new hair in this season, though, doesn't he?
He does. There's
kind of a short trim.
Yeah, short trim, which leans into sort of what's happening with Ezra and where will he go. But a couple big dramatic new looks for people.
Yeah.
Kanan had that really cool new look with the full beard and the mask, and Sabine, who keeps changing her hair every season, now has sort of a white and purple thing going on.
And is there anything else different about Sabine in this?
Well, Sabine looks like she's going to get a big season, because they talked about we're going to meet people from her past. It pretty much inferred her family will be introduced. And then we saw some Mandalorians. We saw a clip, and they're in the trailer. They're very based on some of the Ralph McQuarrie sort of Boba Fett concept art that look really cool. But I think the big moment for fans is her holding the dark saber, which was introduced on Clone Wars. So it was introduced in EU years ago, but made official canon in the Clone Wars. And so this very important weapon will somehow find its way into her hands. And she obviously is not a Jedi at all, but it is a Mandalorian weapon, so that's pretty cool to see. Cool.
Another character I was pretty excited about is a guy called Bendu that we met. Mainly because being a Brit, he's voiced by Tom Baker, former and greatest Doctor Who, Tom Baker. I think he was the 4th Doctor Who. Yeah, and he looks like an amazing creature. We got to see a bit of him when we watched the episode.
Yeah.
He's kind of a big monstrous character who they said isn't really on the dark side or the light side. He's somewhere in the middle. Like, he's very powerful with the Force and
Yeah, I thought that was really intriguing because Clone Wars once in a while got a kind of a little metaphysical, and there was a storyline on a planet called Mortis that introduced almost physical embodiments of the light side and dark side of the Force. And this feels like an extension of that, the idea that there are these creatures out there that really embody the Force. The Force is in all living creatures, but there are some that really sort of harness it and are almost like full of it, and he seems like a new way of dealing with that. And the fact that he is somewhere in between and has no allegiance, that's a really cool thing.
And they said he's going to have a big influence on the crew.
Yep.
And also, as was pointed out, he's the second Doctor Who in the animated universe because David Tennant lent his voice to Clone Wars.
Yes, indeed. Yep.
Geeky fact. We saw a bit of Darth Maul as well.
Yeah.
His character, I think, is going to be a bit expanded in this series. Lot to do with him and Ezra, trying to take Ezra under his wing, trying to influence him.
Yeah, and they also talked on the panel about the fact that Maul keeps kind of trying to build up his power only to lose it at Phantom Menace, then on Clone Wars, and now again on Rebels. But I will say they showed a clip, which you can watch right now on IGN.com, that shows Maul very much seeming to be in control and holding all the cards. So at some point this season, things definitely seem to be going well for Maul.
Yeah, but Dave Filoni said that as it starts out, he's really confused about where he fits in life, what his purpose is, and so it's him trying to find his own path. So.
Yeah, and he did say that Maul is not, he's not a Sith anymore. He's not calling himself Darth Maul, but at the same time, he's probably not someone who can truly be redeemed. So I think he's going to himself. Looks like the season will be about a lot of that sort of ambiguous characters, who are existing in between.
As for the other little bits and pieces that were said, Maz Kanata.
Yeah.
Someone asked a question about whether she could appear in Rebels, and he didn't say no. Did he?
Well, it was funny because there was two major will you introduce these character questions. One was Mara Jade, one was Maz Kanata.
Yeah.
Mara Jade, he said probably not,
yeah.
which is pretty definitive. Maz Kanata, I think he said that'd be great.
He said, I'll tell you exactly what he said. He said that's a really good idea.
There you go.
Yeah.
And he did follow that by saying, hey, that's not a promise, but that answer and his sort of enthusiasm makes you think there's got to be a good chance.
Yeah.
That we're going to see her.
Agreed.
We'll find out.
So when is Rebels airing?
This fall. They did not give a premiere date.
No.
I thought they might. All we know is sometime this fall it'll be back.
Cool. And if you check to IGN, Eric's spoiler-free review of the first episode will be online soon. So yeah, that's it from today. But we'll be at Star Wars Celebration all weekend, so keep it here for all your Star Wars needs.